Here at Brandon Slay in preparation for the 2012 London Games. It's an experience you know pretty well, going through it. Back some country down southern hemisphere. Daughter's named after the city. You know, you've been through this before. Now, going through this as a coach, this is the Olympic year. What are some things you've drawn from your experiences as an Olympian that you're trying to instill in the guys that are going to represent the United States in London next month?
I think the experience I had in Sydney 12 years ago was having those coaches focus on the specific needs of each wrestler. Every single guy on our Olympic team clearly needs, they all need to work on technique, they all need to work on our areas of concentration as a team, but physically, mentally, and spiritually, there are certain things that each wrestler needs from personal coaches, from our Olympic coaches. And so I think during this camp, just saying, hey, what does Sam Hazewick need versus Coleman Scott versus Frere all the way up to Travell, and how can we meet those needs and really focus on helping those individuals reach their full potential.
Is there anybody on this team that you might kind of look at and be like, man, I was in that guy's situation? You know, or has everybody been kind of on the radar long enough to, you know, for lack of a better term, be on the radar?
Well, I think guys like Sam Hazewinkle and Coleman Scott and Chloe Frere too, this is their very first time, you know, to make an Olympic team. So back in 2000 was my very first time to make the team. So I've talked to those guys and continue to get them to realize that a lot of the times when it's your very first time to make the world team or Olympic team, as Americans, we go and win. We go and medal. That's what we do. So talking to those first three guys that don't have a medal, like Burroughs all the way through Travell, making sure they realize that just because this is your first time doesn't mean that you can't become an Olympic champion and bring home a medal for the United States of America. So I have that empathy for our first three weight classes.
As far as you as a coach, you got back into wrestling as far as when this Olympic cycle began, and what's this journey been like for you start to finish, getting back in Colorado Springs, a place you know pretty well, to, you know, going from an athlete to now being in more of a, I guess, deserving respect type of role as a coach, where you've got the developmental guys, you've got the elite guys, you've kind of got your hand in all sorts of different piles of talent here at Colorado Springs.
Well, I would say number one, it's just going from an athlete to a coach is totally different, because as an athlete, you're just focused on what your needs are. And now as a coach, I'm not focused on myself and my needs anymore as a coach. My job is to focus on their needs and how I can assist them. So that's a big, you know, change in regards to your philosophy. Then I think in Colorado Springs, we have a lot of moving parts, because as you mentioned, you know, we have these developmental guys we have to focus on. You know, we have 4 junior world team members we have to get prepared for the World Championship in September. I've got my resident team, guys like Kilgore. We're preparing for the University World Team Trials, August 18th. And then I've got guys like Chase Pandy. We're preparing to make the world team next year in 2013. And we've got the Olympic team in town for 2 weeks. So it's juggling a lot of responsibilities, and that's why it's all hands on deck. And that's why we need multiple coaches. You know, in addition to Claire Zeke and Bill Zadek and our national coaching staff, we need coaches like John Smith and Mark Manning and Lou Roselli and Jamil Kelly and all these other coaches that are out here assisting us. It's imperative with all those responsibilities that need to be taken care of.
In regards to this team, you've got 4 medalists at the world level with, you know, the top 4 guys: Burroughs, Herbert, Varner, and Delagnev. You got the 3 guys that haven't been on a team. A lot of veteran guys that, you know, like you said, looking for their first medal. What's the difference maker in your mind for some of those guys that this might be their, like Frere, this is going to be his last shot at an Olympic gold, unless, you know, he's going to change his mind. But for guys that this might be their last cycle, what are your thoughts?
I think the key for a guy like Frere is to really focus on the process and continue to love the sport of wrestling and find passion and joy in it, and not to focus on winning, gold so much. Just to make sure he continues to enjoy loving the sport of wrestling and the process that's going to take place, you know, continuing into the games. Because if he's focusing all on winning, and has all that pressure on his shoulders, I don't think that he will wrestle to his full potential. But he focuses on the love of wrestling and the process and taking care of just the little things that he has control over, and realizing that he has the ability to become the best wrestler in the world. If he keeps doing all those little things right, I think that will be key for him. So focus on the process over the outcome, so to speak, because I think that's the key for Frere.
moving back to the developmental guys and the junior world teamers, how beneficial is it to have these junior world teamers and some of these developmental guys that have spent this year at the training center before going to college, or like Kilgore taking an Olympic redshirt, to get their hands on the Olympic team, the national team, to really be in there practicing alongside those guys and tying up with them?
I think to have the younger guys, our developmental guys, our guys that are still in college, to be able to train with our senior level guys, our Olympic team, I think that's the idea, that's the plan. It's extremely beneficial. We talk about how we're going to beat the Russians, the Iranians. We're going to have to develop our guys faster. I mean, for example, we have a young man named Mark Holland here who's just finished his 8th grade year. He's going to be a 9th grader next year. And so he's had a chance to wrestle with 3 or 4 Olympians this summer. He's wrestling with some of the best guys in the whole entire country, some of the best guys in the world, as a guy that's between his 8th and 9th grade year. I mean, he's kind of an example on one side of the equation, but I think that's what we have to do with young men like that moving forward. We have to get the Destin McCauley's and the Earl Halls and the Pat Downey's wrestling with our Olympic team if we want to develop them at a faster rate and win more junior world medals. Last year we had 1 medal out of 8 weight classes at the junior world championships, and so I'm sure people look at that and go, man, that was failure. How can you guys get better? Well, we're going to have to develop our younger guys faster if we're going to be able to do better in the future.